Testing, testing, can you hear me? My name is Carmelita Middleton. This is a Middleton Talk. I'm a real person. This is a fake microphone, and let's get started. All right, welcome back to the second episode of the Middleton Talk. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you can be part of my journey of expanding the Middleton family. I'm so excited to start doing more videos for you. I'm so excited to share more of my journey and stop talking, Carmelita, and start talking about what they came for the video. All right, so if you haven't already seen my first ever episode, I talked about my postpartum journey. That's the first episode, and I thought it was just only fair to now have the second episode talk about labor and delivery and just some of the stuff that they do not tell you about in any of the other YouTubes that I see. Okay, so I did film my video. I did film my birth vlog with my youngest daughter, Oaklynn. She's 5 months old, and I did film everything. I made a whole YouTube video. It got a lot of views, and then my second child, Emmeline, deleted it off my channel. So instead of re-uploading it, I decided that I want to start talking through and maybe kind of give y'all an insight of what they don't tell you. I had my first daughter at 18, my second daughter at 20, and my third daughter at 22. All my kids are 21 months apart in little gaps, and I'm so glad that I had them at the age I did. I know I'll get a lot of different comments of people saying, why are you okay with having a baby at 18? Because I'm a young mom now. That's why. And I'll be able to see my grandkids and great-grandkids, hopefully. Okay, so I did in fact have all of my kids naturally, meaning no medications, nothing to help with the pain. I felt everything. And will I ever do it again? No. I did it 3 times. Will I ever do it? Will I do it a 4th time? If I have a 4th kid, that baby's having all the drugs. I want to have everything. I want them to knock me out and then wake me up with the baby in my hands. Because let me get to it. Oaklynn's labor was exhausting, terrifying, the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And not only that, I was only in labor for 5 hours. Okay, the first 3 hours, I didn't even know I was in labor, and I only knew I was in labor, looking back now, is because I had pressure in my butt. Okay, so if you're a guy, or you're a family member that's a guy, click off, because I'm pretty sure you're not going to want to know this. Let me just start with it. The morning that I delivered, so I delivered Oaklynn at 9:30 p.m. on January 16th of 2022. Yeah, 2022. It was not that long ago. But my brain and my memory of her whole entire labor has kind of like washed away because I was in so much pain. I started to have slight contractions early, like around 1 or 2. And they weren't like normal contractions. They were like in my butt. So have you ever felt like you had to poop really bad and you just have that pressure and you're trying to like hold in the poop, but you can't really hold it in and it's kind of hurting and you're trying to like run to the bathroom? Yeah, that was me, except it was baby. Yeah. And it kind of took a few hours. So around 3 o'clock, around 3:30, we got home. We had went to go eat at Mia's table with Peyton's parents, and then we went to a few other stores, and we were walking around all day. And then we came home to my mom's house, and it was like 3:34, kind of in that time period. And so January 17th is my due date, so I was 1 day before my due date. And my mom was like, oh, go for a walk, just like, you know, help the baby. And I was like, okay, let's go for a walk, Peyton, because my mom won't stop telling me to go for a walk, and I'm exhausted. I don't want to go for a walk, but she's saying go for a walk to get the baby out, and I didn't want to get induced. So that's what I did. Me and Peyton walked from my mom's house all the way to the park, and we walked around my mom's park, and then we came back home. And the whole entire time I'm walking, I'm feeling this like pressure on my tailbone like this. So it's kind of like this part of your back. So I felt like pressure down there, but just like a little bit lower. And I didn't really think of anything to it. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm just feeling pressure. That's okay. I am almost 40 weeks pregnant. So then I get back to my mom's house, and now it's like around 5, and I'm really feeling this pressure. But the type of person I am, I'm not going to tell anybody. So I didn't tell anybody. And I was like, oh, this is some pressure. But I was like, it's okay. I'm good. A few hours later, not even a few hours later, a few minutes later, probably like 2015, my mom was like, hey, Peyton, can you go to the store? I want to make some fried chicken for y'all. And I had a big sweet tooth craving. I said, yes, I want fried chicken too, and I want cake. Just give me some type of chocolate cake. Whatever it is, that's what I want. That's what the baby wants. The baby's gonna get the chocolate cake. So Peyton goes to the store. He goes to Fiesta's right there by my mom's house. He gets the chicken, he gets the cake. He comes home to my mom's house. And I'm sitting there on the floor, and I'm like trying to breathe. And my mom's like, I think you're in labor. And I'm like, no, I've already had 2 kids. Like, I'm gonna know when I'm in labor, and this is not labor. Ladies and gentlemen, mama knows best. Not this mama, my mama, because I was in fact in labor. Peyton brought the chicken to my mom. Peyton brought the cake. I'm walking around like this, okay? This is how I'm walking. I'm like walking like this, kind of, you know, doing the whole little mom waddle, little pregnancy thing. And I'm like, Peyton, we gotta go. Peyton comes in, throws in the food. Before we even leave, I said, you know what, if I'm actually in labor and this is real labor, I want a piece of that cake. So I grabbed cakes real quick, and I grabbed it, and we left. I have never seen Peyton drive as fast as he did. I couldn't sit down in the car. Peyton was going full speed. I mean, the hospital that I delivered at was 15 miles from my mom's house. And so he's driving, and we get there, and he was just, there's so many people because of COVID still, and just sick people in the emergency room, and it's late. It's like 7 o'clock when we get to the hospital, and there's so many sick people, and Peyton's like, we're walking in, and we're trying to be as nice as possible, and these people are like, oh, your ID, this, and this, and blah, blah, blah. They're asking so many questions, and I'm like, I'm in labor? I'm just letting you know, I don't know what you're about to ask me. My name is Carmelita Middleton. I've already signed all the pre-records, whatever you needed for me to hurry up and get in. This is my 3rd baby. I'm telling you, this baby is coming. They take me to the labor and delivery room, and then I get wonderful nurses. I get this one nurse who basically thinks I know nothing about labor because I am 22, and she doesn't understand that I've already had 2 kids, because 1, I didn't tell her, and 2, she didn't ask. So we didn't get on that subject because I was in pain. Anyways, I am asking if I can dance, and I'm up and I'm like moving, right? And I get there, and I'm like, hey, can you like just check me, because I'm pretty sure I am like kind of far along. And so she's like, okay. So she checked me. She said, I'm at 3.5, 4. She said, we're gonna keep you, I think you're in active labor. I was like, well, yeah, because this hurts. I know I'm in active labor. And she was like, yeah. So I'm up, I'm moving, I'm walking. In my labors, if I can give you advice for labors, do not lay in the bed. Do not lay in the bed, do not lay in bed, do not lay in the bed unless it's medically necessary. The gravity from your baby and your body and just natural instincts is, the gravity is going to help your baby come out. If you're laying in the bed, your baby can't go anywhere because it's just like in the bed. Anyways, so I'm laying down, or no, I'm up, and then I feel more pressure in my tailbone. I'm like, oh, I've never felt this. This is awful. Okay, so it's 30 minutes later, and I said, or even less, and I said, can you please check me again? I feel like my body is pushing. I'm standing up and my body is physically trying to push the baby out. And she looked at me and was like, oh, sweetheart, you have to be at 10 centimeters to start pushing. And I told her, I said, ma'am, this is my 3rd child. I know what I'm doing. I've done this 2 times without medication before. Trust me when I understand. I know my body. You know medicine, and that's cool, but I know my body, and I know what I'm about to do. And she was like, okay, let me check you. I was at 7. Within 30 minutes, I went from a 3, 4 to a 7.5. Or no, it was 8. I'm sorry, 8. She was like, wow, you're already at 8 centimeters. That's awesome. Like, your body's progressing. I was like, I know. And she's like, but your water hasn't broken in anything. I was like, okay. So me and Peyton are dancing, and I feel this like pressure kind of like down there, and I kind of like move my legs apart. Like, there's a lot of standing up in this video. I kind of like move my legs apart like this, and I'm just swaying, and I'm feeling everything. I'm feeling all the muscles in my body kind of contract. Then I feel there was no sound, there was no pop, there was no movie style, but I feel this just gush of water. More like, it literally just felt like I peed on myself, and it was very warm. And I looked down, and I was like, Peyton, I think I peed on myself. And when I saw the water, I knew the worst pain of my life was about to happen. Because there's no cushion, there's no water helping your body cushion from the pain. Now it's just baby on your hips, literally bone and baby. And I looked at Peyton, and I was so terrified because I knew exactly what was about to happen. Every single time my water breaks, within 30 minutes, I have my baby in my hands. And the nurse came over, and she looks, and she goes, oh my gosh, your water broke. That's meconium in your fluid. And I was like, meconium? And meconium is poop, and that's really bad for a baby to be pooping in the womb, because then the baby can ingest all that. And so now I knew that my baby had pooped in the womb. I knew I was about to have my baby. So I was scared because of the pain, then I was scared because I didn't want my child to come out and not be able to breathe or something happen to her. Okay, so now all that's happening, I get in the bed because now it's medically necessary for me to get in the bed, and I'm gonna comply with the doctors. And I cannot sit down. I can't sit down. They're like, ma'am, can you please just lay down? Just sit down. And I'm like, I cannot physically sit on my butt. Fast forward, Oaklynn's head, so my tailbone, I don't even know how to say it. Okay, my tailbone is like this, and she is hitting my tailbone. And instead of her kind of like gliding up, because you're like laying down with your feet up like this, she's hitting my tailbone like this constantly with her head. And then I had to move a certain way. I'm kind of like moving my body, you know, trying to get her to like glide up. And then she finally glides up, and when she does, all that pressure was gone. But that also caused me to bruise my tailbone for a month after I delivered, and that's the worst pain, one of the worst pains besides labor. Okay, so after my water breaks, I asked her, I said, can you please check me? I know you just checked me, I was at 8.5. Can you please look? And so she checked me again, and she was like, oh, you're not fully a 10. Let me just, you know, let's just calm down, don't worry. And I told her, I was like, please call the doctor, please call the doctor, please call the doctor. I said, my doctor needs to be here. And she said, oh, we can't call the doctor yet, you're not at a 10. I said, I am pushing this baby right now. And in fact, she was like, oh, you know, she just kept denying me, kept denying everything that I was saying. And it was making me so upset because I know my body better than the doctor. I know my body better than the doctors. The nurse once again checked me, and when she did, she noticed that I was crowning. Okay, so fast forward real quick because my camera's about to die. Yes, I in fact pushed her out, and it was the worst pain of my life. In that moment of pushing, I almost gave up. I was so exhausted. Not to mention, I have a special guest with me. Say hi, T. She's coloring. All right, so my picture. Oh, I love it. So back to my story. So not to mention, while I was pushing, I had to wear a mask. And some people are probably like, well, why'd you have to wear a mask? Did you have COVID? The nurses, the whole hour and a half that I was there, they couldn't put an IV in me. And instead of checking to see if I had COVID, they in fact decided that the right time to check and give me a test would be while I was pushing. So now not only am I going through the worst pain of my life, I'm also getting a huge Q-tip stuffed out my nose. And
Mommy, water.
What? And while I was pushing, I also had to wear a mask, and the mask actually made me feel claustrophobic, and I couldn't take deep breaths, so which caused, well, because I couldn't take deep breaths, my daughter Oaklynn's heart rate went down decreasingly, and I was very upset because I kept asking the nurses. I said, please just let me take off the mask. Please just let me take a mask. I cannot breathe. And the nurses, in fact, started singing. It was the worst experience. Labor was the worst experience with Oaklynn. But yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna finish off this video. Yeah. What they don't tell you is, after you deliver, you also have to push out your placenta, and because I didn't get any medicine, and sometimes ladies will get like an extra like safety stitch, which is what I've always gotten, which is just to make sure that tomorrow my skin doesn't loosen and tear. So I'd always get one stitch, and the lidocaine shot that they give you to make sure that the stitching doesn't hurt doesn't work at all. At least it didn't work for me all 3 times. And yet it's actually, like, I don't want to scare you, but it's actually, it just feels like a bee sting, like a sting. And it's just, after you've been through so much, you just don't want that extra lidocaine shot because it doesn't help. And then I would feel the needle go in and out, and then I would feel the rib, like the thread, and then them tying and all of that. I am so proud of myself because not only did I deliver Oaklynn, I delivered Oaklynn naturally. I delivered her in literally less than 5 hours, which is more like less than 3. I was in labor for, that I knew of, for probably 3 hours. Ladies, you're gonna have contractions even after you deliver your baby. And for me, the postpartum contractions lasted for about a week. And I was put on the highest dose of medication that they could have possibly given me, which is ibuprofen. And that did not help at all. Postpartum is just a very hard time for your body. Labor and delivery is a hard time for your body. Not to mention the amazing massage that they give you after you just pushed out a baby. So not only are you holding your newborn baby on your chest, you are now being pushed. They push on your stomach really hard, like to the point where the doctor's about to touch your spine, that hard. And then the placenta comes out, you get stitched right back up. I mean, I've never tore, so I don't really know how that stitching feels, but the stitching that I had to get, it's just like a precaution. Will I have another baby? I guess that'll be for a different video. Am I considering a natural birth again? At first I wasn't considering a natural birth again if I do have another child. I just think that hospital births after 3, they are just not for me. I am so grateful for the doctors. I'm so grateful for the nurses that I had. I'm so grateful for my postpartum nurses. They were amazing. I'm so grateful for just the whole experience as itself, because at the end of the day, even though I feel like I wasn't treated fairly when I first went in, I know that my baby was safe, and I know that the nurses would have done anything for me at that moment. Mamas, do not ever underestimate your ability to know your body. I know doctors will go to medical school. I know doctors have to study and they have to stay up to date with medications and schooling and this whole thing. Nobody can tell you about your body. You can tell the doctors about your body. You know your body better than anybody else. Anyways, thank you so much for watching the second ever episode of the Middleton Talk. I'm so excited to share more of my journey. Thank you for listening to my labor and delivery vlog. And I just hope that you'll have a great rest of your day or your night. Thank you so much. Hit the bell to be notified, subscribe, and watch the rest of my channels. Or my videos on my channel. We're so excited that you're here. Thank you for listening to the Middleton Talk. I'm a real person. This is a fake microphone, and I'm out. Bye, guys.